And you say one of your initial reactions was, the president of NBC News says to you he went from hero to zero in the course of a day. And then you said you began to worry about him and you reached out to him and you were texting, you wanted to go see him. And then you didn't because you were worried for your own reputation if you were seen going to his house, which I thought was very honest of you to say.
Well, I think that was one reason, Andy. A consideration for sure. But I also felt that I didn't have enough information.
Right.
I also felt uncomfortable giving my full-throated support of someone
Right.
who, and you have to also remember, I left the Today Show in 2006.
Yep.
I didn't know what was going on at these Olympic Games. I had no information.
Right.
And so I felt like not only, yes, and that was one factor, but I also needed to learn more.
Yeah.
And I think on a human level, we can only imagine what that was like to suddenly, and I'm not saying it was clearly with cause, but to be in one of the highest perches in television news and then fall from grace so swiftly and so severely.
So I want
And
to
I
ask.
think as a human, I
Yeah.
was like, I was worried about him.
I want to ask you one more question about that, and then I want to move on because there's a lot more in this book. What do you think of Matt being totally erased from the Today Show as it is today? Like when they do a montage of their Halloween shows, they never show him, or if they do a montage of this is, it's the 60th anniversary of the Today Show, they don't show you and Matt reporting on 9/11. Like they do not show him as being a part of that show. And I wonder what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talk about that in the book, Andy, about him sort of being the Lenin or the Trotsky of 30
Yes.
Rock, and how any trace of Matt was eradicated. Listen, I think it's very hard for these corporations when they deal with things like this
Yeah.
to really figure out how to manage it. I think a lot of it, I wish that Matt had taken a year off, really tried to understand his behavior, tried to be part of the solution if, in fact, the culture would have allowed him to be. And that memo that he issued about very graphically talking about consensual
Right.
sex he had with the accuser that
Yep.
cost him his job.
Yeah.
It seemed to me,
More rooted in anger than anything
yeah,
else.
if I were a crisis manager, and clearly I'm not,
You would have
but
said, don't
I
put
would have
this out.
probably advised him to react to everything very differently than he did.
Yeah.
And then it would have been up to the women who he took advantage of to decide, you know, is redemption in order. But it is very weird because he was on the show for 20 years. He did some extraordinary work while he was there. But I think, as I said, Andy, these corporations and companies, they're trying to figure out, oh gosh, well, what will be the blowback
Right.
if we
Right.
don't
Are we
erase him?
glorifying this person? Are we celebrating him if he's,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
incredibly
yes.
complicated. And I think maybe the easiest way is to pretend that he didn't exist.
Right.
But it's a very bizarre thing to witness
Yeah.
for sure.